Hello, everyday leaders. This is Melahni Ake on the Everyday Leaders platform. Tonight is Wednesday, December the 2nd. And as promised, I am coming on tonight to talk to you about all great things that have been in my life and my growth journey. And so, all couple of weeks, we've been having leaders come on and talk about the things that are important to them, how they're growing, how they're developing, how they're using these leadership principles in their life. And tonight, was scheduled to be with Misael Diaz. That is my mentor, one of my mentors that helped me on my very first day in the John Maxwell team. And so Misael is in the Dominican Republic right now. And I think maybe he got his time zones confused.
It's easy to do.
So easy to do. But what I know as leaders is the show must go on. And so On My Heart is really scheduled about talking about my journey in John Maxwell Team and why it's so important for you to choose a leadership lane to get personal development and find a tribe that really lifts you and helps you grow. So I called on my great friend, Greg Storch, which my little lion here is representative of Greg. So now you see in living color Greg Storch with Lion Enterprise. And he is in Italy, and it is 1 a.m., and his wife's asleep, so we're gonna act like we're whispering.
We'll pretend we're whispering.
She'll get a kick out of this tomorrow morning. So if Misael does join us on the link, we can bring him in here. But I wanted to still share all the things that we learn about growth when we develop an inner circle of people that also believe what we believe. And what a perfect person to bring on, which is my friend Greg, that when he lived in the United States, we started a coaching group with Diane Dick and Misael called By Design, Life by Design and Business by Design. And so our group grew together and we grew other team members in their personal growth journey. And part of my conversation tonight was about my favorite growth book for me, which has been the 15 Laws of Growth. And part of this is because Misael had inspired me on my first journey into the John Maxwell team and said, my gosh, if you learn that book, you can apply any principle to your life and grow. And what I found is I apply it to everything. Like, Greg, every situation I go through, I put it through the 15 laws test and say, if it doesn't hit all these, probably shouldn't do it.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
So thanks for standing in tonight for Misael.
You're welcome.
Because
Denata.
you have been a big mentor for me as well. And the things that we have learned together, I mean, for people that have kind of followed you, you're in Italy. And so talk to people about your journey in personal growth.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because it started prior to us, coming over here to Italy, and it all came to a head after I was, rising through the ranks in corporate America. Really, I had promoted 3 times in 4 years. I was a corporate executive, but thing was, I wasn't happy doing what I was doing, and I ended up actually being hospitalized for 3 days from a stress-induced condition, and it was a pretty scary time. But I remember it was also as I'm approaching my 50th birthday, which was interesting. So it kind of forced me to do a little introspection. And I think that's really when my growth journey started, because I started questioning myself about, what am I passionate about? What do I really want to be doing? What am I known for? What do people come to me when they ask for my help? What are they asking for? And the resounding answer for all the questions was building leaders. It's what I've always done. I may not have recognized it, but it wasn't until I started, really thinking into it intentionally. I love that word, because so many things change when you become intentional about them. And so I got intentional about what I was doing. And I ended up walking away from corporate America and started Lion Enterprise, which is a leadership development and coaching company. And I've been doing that ever since. And I feel like I haven't been working because I just love it so much. And, my passion has been the weekly roar in the lion's den. And so my personal growth journey started on my transit into DC one morning. I'm listening to the 15 of that invaluable laws of growth on my phone because it takes a while to commute into DC. And John is telling the story about when he learned about a growth plan. And he's like, does anybody know what a growth plan is? He was asking everybody. Everybody's like, no, no. And I'm sitting in the car thinking, I don't have a growth plan. I'm 50 years old and I've never planned my growth. And I kind of started to panic. So that's when I started getting, surrounding myself with people like you and Misael and Diane Dick and, starting to learn from you and get involved. And really the personal growth was about teaching myself more about leadership because I thought, spending 24 years in the Navy that I knew everything there was to know about leadership. I was in the military. And then what I learned was I had so much to learn. And so that's where my journey began. I started really just educating myself. And I mean, I'm still on that journey, but I've been learning so much about leadership. It's been amazing. So
Isn't it fun? Because you think about, when you say you were in the military, and I have started to connect to so many people lately that say, well, because I did this in the military, I should have already been equipped to do leadership.
yeah.
Because they had examples, right? You have examples in your life. And so you say, well, if I just follow that path, then I'll just by osmosis, as John says in chapter 1 of intentionality, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you think just because you're going to grow old that you're going to grow.
Right.
And
Right.
that's not true.
Yeah.
It's that knowledge gap. We aren't going to just become better. We have to really invest in ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting point when people look back at their lives and say, well, I'm successful because I had goals and I achieved goals, but I didn't really step into who I should become on my potential. And oh my goodness, we have a friend joining us.
All right.
We have a friend joining us. Misael Diaz.
Yeah. What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hello. I brought in a surprise for you.
Oh man, look at this guy. Mr. Greg Stewart. How you doing, brother?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be twins.
That's awesome, man.
Misael, the book of awesome.
The book. That's awesome.
Now we got our leader on the line, man.
Man, let me connect these headphones here so I can have a better sound with you guys. Oh my goodness.
This is awesome. I didn't want to delay. I wanted to make sure that we gave you time. And I said, Greg, you're still up in Italy. It's 1 a.m. Here, jump on. Let's give Misael a surprise. And so, so it's so wonderful.
Thank you. No, Greg, hey man, how you doing? Let's really ask you, how are you doing?
I'm telling you, man, I couldn't be better. I'm living the dream. And Melahni and I were just talking about intentionality, and tell you what, things change when you become intentional, man. I'm telling you.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yes.
Yeah.
A lot. I'm so happy. You or your wife, I know Italy was one of the places that got hit very badly with the virus. You guys okay? Everything fine?
Yeah, doing wonderful. No problems whatsoever. And you've heard John Maxwell speaking about leadership in crisis, and now is the time to step up, man.
Yeah. Awesome. Hey.
Oh. He froze.
People, I'm noticing this now because people are letting me know. For some reason, I distanced myself a little bit from Facebook, but congratulations on your awards and being recognized as #1 something employee or volunteer of the year, of the month. Congratulations on that, man. I'm happy for you. I am. Yeah.
Thank you so
We
much.
got busy and sort of distant a little bit, but the appreciation's still there. Like there's no bad feeling or anything. So,
Absolutely, man. And I think you make a really great point. This is the important piece about having a tribe. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you get busy.
Yeah.
When you come back together, you just pick right
Yeah.
back up where you
Correct.
left off.
And when needed, right? When needed,
Yeah.
like if something that's going on and you need a push or some help, it's there. You can count on that, right?
Yeah.
So
You
lean on me.
I'm telling you, Melanie, you've heard me say it a million times in the weekly roar. We do not get anywhere in life without the help of others.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely right. 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
You know that,
Awesome.
Misael.
Listen, first of all, my life is a proof of that.
Mhm.
And the reason I am so dark right now is because of that, right? So I am literally about 150 yards away from the ocean, right? I'm in the Dominican Republic, right? Between me and the ocean, there's just a bunch of palm trees and the greenest grass you ever seen in your life. And I just learned a few minutes ago or an hour ago that number 35 or about the number 35 golf course in the world is literally across from me. So, and all of that, is due to, it's a fruit of relationships and other individuals that, laid the path and extended a hand and had, mercy and were kind enough and abundant enough to share with me. So yeah, right now I'm sitting in the Dominican. I'm here for, I came here to finalize some agreements. I'm doing an event here with Paul. I hired Paul as my coach in the middle of the craziest year. I made the biggest coaching investment of my life. So I don't know how that happened, but it happened, right? So when the world was going crazy, here I was taking the biggest step I've taken up to this point now in terms of receiving mentoring and coaching and making that investment. And so Paul and I will be here in the Dominican May 2021. We'll have a boutique event. It's only going to be for 20 people. The event is pretty much sold out. We have already sold 18 people into the event. And we'll hold it at, this is all private villas. If it was much, well lit up, I will take you in a tour. It's phenomenal. It's gorgeous house. And we'll have a setting like this where we will have a 3 days leadership retreat and, purpose, vision, and goals, masterminding, and some fun also, massages, golf, and all of that stuff. So, and I'll tell you, this here, and I'll tie the point in a second. This here is the most exclusive community in the Dominican. I just learned that Michael Bloomberg has a house down the street from here, right? I just learned that tonight. And so why am I making this point, Greg, is that I will not be able to be here if it wasn't for the help of others. Like I personally, I don't have the access, and yet, and please emphasize that I'm yet to have the amount of money to be here on my own. Okay, so I'm sharing that with you to solidify and up level your statement that if you're doing it alone, my friend, you're not doing anything, or you're not doing much. One of the two. Yeah. Melanie, how you doing? I have not even say hello to you.
It is so great. I need a little token from you because I have this from Greg.
Yeah.
And then you encouraged me when we were working together with Diane and Greg, and we were
Yes.
doing the
Yes.
by design coaching. You said you should get a bobblehead of yourself because you're traveling everywhere. So I
We should have a bunch of pilots take pictures with it. Everywhere you go, just give it to a pilot and say, "Hey, listen, I'm the traveling bobblehead. Hold this. I'm gonna take a picture of you." Or take it into your cabin, please. Take it into the cockpit.
I'm telling
Put
you.
it some type of,
I remember that.
That's awesome.
It's so fun, right? Because we were talking about exploring and discovering and adventuring. And so you were like, you should do that because you travel so much. And yes, before
Yeah.
all this, it was on the plane every single day. So what a fun thing to do, thinking about like they have all these little segments of where you're going to be next and where in the world is. And so it was really fun to kind of take this as the explorer, as the
Awesome.
leadership explorer.
Awesome.
But that's what's important, right? That we do things that are different. We get curious about things, we get creative, and then we have others lift us up to say, well, what if you did do that? What would that look like? And the possibilities of encouraging people around us, right? Because Misael, you and I talked to one of my friends the other day, and she is a leader in Mary Kay. She's a leader in Mary Kay. She's my neighbor. And she said, I've just watched you. You've encouraged me. And I want to be a part. I want to learn more about what you're doing.
I want what you have.
Yeah. And so, it's a simple, like you are a testimony. Your life is the character that you build and the decisions that you make every single day. And so, and that's the Everyday Leaders platform, right? It's like every day you make decisions every second of your day to what you're going to be like, how you're going to add value to people. And so I think, it's two ways. When you have conversations, you are building your character as people watch you. You make a good decision at the light, you go left or you go right. And it's every decision that you make. And so why I think that's important is because, sometimes you don't know that people are watching you. And so here you go, Greg, consistency. Right? You're all about consistency. And that's, I think, what the three of us have been so consistent in our values. And we show up like that every single time, no matter if we're on camera or off. It's who we are. And so that's the kind of tribe, right? You attract that kind of tribe. And so that helps you remain constant and consistent too.
Absolutely. For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that consistency gives you credibility because, we learn that you can never outperform your self-image. So you cannot consistently be a fake, right? At some point it's going to break. I think that you cannot consistently live out of character. Your inner self at some point is going to show up. And finally, I like to say that your reputation is in your repetition, right? Your reputation is in your repetition. Right? What you repeat, repute, right? What you repeat, repute. So your reputation is on your repetition. What are you doing consistently? So absolutely agree with the consistency piece for sure. Yeah.
You made a really great point, Mel, that leaders have to understand that people are always watching, whether you know it or not, and that consistency breeds dependability. They know you're going to be there for them consistently. And so, one of the things I did when I was leading 350 plus contractors in DC, I always kept in my mind that as I'm walking through the hallways, I may not see my people, but they see me. And so, character matters.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Greg. And look, I didn't even realize. Are we actually on live? I thought we were behind the scenes.
Yes,
We're good.
no, we are totally live.
We're
Okay.
live on every
Misael,
social media platform ever.
we're on YouTube, we're on LinkedIn, we're all across Facebook, and we're in Italy, the Dominican, and Indiana.
Okay, I just realized it. Okay, I thought we were somehow like, you know how you can be behind the scenes and then you go up live, but I saw a comment of someone pop up,
Yes.
so I just realized that
Looky here.
we are yeah, truth.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Character matters.
It does.
Greg, I like character is one of the things that I like to talk about a lot because it's what I've learned from the people that I like to model after, right? You know a little bit of my story, my background, some of the things I've done, where I come from, and what I've learned from people that I identify as a mentor are, number one, they're the nicest people I ever met in my life. And number two is their character is pretty much unbreakable, right? It's unchangeable. And out of that, I have a brother who is a doctor. He's a neurologist. So sometimes, I talk to him. I know a little bit of certain things that he says, and I learn a little bit about how the immune system works, right? So out of the immune system, I came out with a metaphor to say that character is the immune system of a leader. Okay. All right. Character is the immune system of a leader because if you have a weak immune system, right, you can easily get sick, you can easily get the virus, you can easily get infected by anything because you have no protection, right? You're not well protected because your immune system is low, right? So similarly, if you have the equivalent of a low immune system, but you put now the word character, or you actually put your character as the immune system, right? What you're talking here is that you have a leader that, due to the low immune system, he can easily bully you, abuse you, manipulate you. He can force his way through. He may not put you first, right? Intentionality is a second thought, right? Adding value to others, it's an afterthought, right? But at the same time, you can easily get contaminated, right? Gossiping, lying, right? Manipulating, doing the wrong things, wrong decisions, turn left, turn right. You said right. You said you either turn left or you either turn right. When your immune system is not correct, most likely you're turning left most of the time, right? And you're going south most of the time, right? So, very important, extremely important when it comes to character. Absolutely, for sure. Yeah. So I love that. And the reason I love talking about that, Greg, so I can shut up and let you speak. It's because it keeps me on check, right? It gives me an opportunity to keep myself on check, because if I'm teaching you something, then I must be living what I'm teaching, right? So talking about character helps me, myself, to keep my character on check. That's why I love that topic so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Talking about where you grew up and how you came up, one of the stories that has always stuck with me about you, and I hope you can share it here with us, is about you finding a pair of shoes to get to school. Yeah. I love that story.
Yeah. So, yeah, man. I've done a lot of, and in fact, to round the story, to make it a little bit broader, Greg and Melanie, and all of you listening to us or watching us out there, right here where I am right now, the golf course that goes around, the golf course that I walked hundreds, if not thousands of times, right? But I was a caddy, right? I
Right.
was a caddy. So as a caddy, you don't get the privilege to enjoy the amenities of the club. You don't get the privilege to enjoy playing the course as often. Like they give you like a once a year caddy tournament, and that's the day when you play golf, right? Or you play
Mhm.
the course, right? This is a PGA rank, or PGA Tour came here and played golf at some point. They brought tournaments here. So today there's 5 courses in the complex where I am right now. Today I had the opportunity to play one of the courses that I used to catch. I was very emotional, like I extremely emotional. But going back to what you're saying, Greg, and the reason I wanted to mention that is to talk about how big of a loop my life has gone around. Um, but growing up, we would wait. Here in the Dominican, the school system is set up in a way that you could either go in the afternoon or in the morning. So you have morning sessions and afternoon sessions, right? And we would imagine. I've actually let me give you here some laughter. I, I did not know I've been intentional for such a long time, right?
Right.
because because with the highest level of intentionality that I could have at the time, my parents and we would wait, Melanie. We would wait so my friends register to school, and we would see what part of the day they register, right? So let's say, for example, Greg is my best friend, right? And we're peers. We're about the same age, and we're probably going to the same school, same neighborhood. And I would wait and see, is Greg going in the morning or is Greg going in the afternoon? And if Greg was going in the morning, I would go and register in the afternoon. I would always be opposite of him, either morning or afternoon, but always be opposite. Why? Because I knew Greg had an extra pair of shoes or tennis shoes that he did not use often. And then because we were on opposite sides of the day, I would approach him and say, "Hey, Greg, can I borrow your shoes so I can go to school?" Right? I would do that. I would do that, right? Intentionally. I would pay attention. Okay, is he in the morning or is he in the afternoon? And maybe even ask. I don't recall. Maybe kids. We'll probably ask. Kids that have no filter, right? They'll probably ask. Hey, are you going in the morning or going in the afternoon? Right? I probably ask. I don't recall exactly. What I do recall is that we would always be an opposite end, and it was literally just so I can borrow my friend's shoes. So
Mhm.
I've done that and I lived that.
Mhm.
Now life, is blessed with so much. By the way, fun fact about me: I don't wear cheap shoes because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong or something, but I like I buy brand high end shoes like all the time. Yeah,
Man,
because I struggle. I didn't have that as a kid. I didn't have a good pair of
good.
shoes as a
Love
child.
that. Love
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It's so awesome.
yeah.
And you think about that with the people that are watching now or on the replay, and that story, it just pulls at your heartstrings because you think as a kid, you don't really know any better. You don't really know
Correct,
what you don't have. You're just surviving. And
correct.
so when you get creative as a child
Mhm,
to fit
mhm.
in, to be able to be included, to be able to make a difference and say,
Yeah,
I need to be here. So what are those survival skills that I need to
mhm.
bring up, right? And so
Yeah,
those of us that have those things that have
yeah,
happened, those experiences, and you say, okay, well, that's what started. That was the catalyst that started
yeah,
you as a leader.
yeah, yeah. And one of the things you adopt right away, you adopt a very, at least for me, right? I think I'm naturally that way, but most of the time, you adopt a personality that will not allow people look past your face. So I would be either so outgoing, so happy all the time, so energetic that I would not give you the smallest chance of looking down on my feet. So I will fill out the room in a way that I give you no chance at all to even pay attention to what I'm wearing or what do I have on my feet, because I'm just overwhelming you with my presence intentionally, just so I can keep you up here. Yes. Because I don't want you to notice that I have Greg's shoes, right? But again, when we talk about kids have no filter, everybody being friends, right? I could easily walk into a situation in which, for example, Joe could say, oh, wait a minute, you and Greg have the same shoes. Yes. And then Greg could say, no, those are my shoes, right? Because that could happen, that between kids, that could happen. And as a child, you adopt, aware or unaware, you adopt the mindset of, okay, that's defense mechanism. Mm-hmm. And my defense mechanism is I never give you a chance to look down on my feet.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
The shield. Yeah. That is such a shield. And the thing is, right, as we grow and we discover that we did those actions, right, those intentional actions, and that we were aware that we really were hurting, right? And here we go to chapter 3, Law of the Mirror, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I had to go there. Because you don't think at that point, okay, I'm doing this, but I don't know how much value I have in the world. And so you start to have these beliefs about yourself. And so you act out on that. You do more than what's necessary because I don't want to look like this. I believe that if I don't have shoes, that I'm not accepted. And so
correct.
Just so many
and you devalue yourself. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what a great point. There's so many people out there that are doing things just to hide.
100%.
Yeah, and it's got a lot to do with fear, really. It's just because you're afraid. Whether it's being afraid to be found out you're wearing Greg's shoes or something else. Or
Melahni shoes.
Yeah.
Melahni
I don't think I'm good on high heels, but
it's really important because here you are back where your roots are today as we're talking about this.
Absolutely.
And so as we started to plan this out, and I said, Misael, it's on my heart because I love my growth journey. The past 4 years have absolutely changed my beliefs about how I speak into my life.
Yeah.
It hasn't changed me. I'm the same person. I'm consistent. I've done all those same things. It just gave me a voice to say, I know who I am and I know why I was created and I need to show up to help other people do the same thing. And so we all as coaches say, well, I'm here to help people. I want to add value. But we do it in such a way, I'm going through this whole process of the why, right? And my why is a contributor. And I know that. I've always known that. But it's how we communicate that then, because then it speaks to where are the gaps that we need to fill up, right? So if we don't fill ourselves up, we can't fill anybody else up. We can't add value to the world.
Not at all.
And
not a chance.
That's the growth, right? You think, and I teach this so much, and I learned this a long time ago, but you forget it because you go into college and you go into your marriage and you have the 2 kids with the minivan and you live your life and you get a career job and you say, well, they're going to put me into the class or they're going to promote me into the job that they see that I fit into. And you start to value yourself on those character traits that you develop because of those people that you're surrounded by. And so not necessarily good for your growth. And so many times when we get to that point, and Greg, you were 50. When I was 50, I was eliminated from a job that I thought I was showing up and I was adding value. And I had to really question myself about the rest of where was my journey taking me, because I had never experienced anything like that before. And it really, that started the whole trend of, man, if if I can't add value to what I really have committed all my time and energy to, I really need to take a look deep inside and say, I've forgotten about growing myself, growing my heart. That was the biggest lesson. And then I met you, and I met Greg, and I met all these other people,
and Greg, and
all these
everybody.
amazing people that said,
Yeah.
me too, right? Like you just forget that you are the most important person that you have to take care of every single day. And when you
Absolutely.
do that, you add value to your family, to your community, to your faith, to your life in ways that are just so transformational that when you go through it, it is just, it's like you have been reborn.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Melanie. Yeah. Look, it's an interesting situation, right? Because we say we got to add value to other people, yet you got to add value to yourself.
Right.
Right. So the reality is that by adding value to myself, I am adding value to others, because others have an interaction with me. And the better I am, the best you're going to find, right? You're going to find better, right? The better prepared I am, the better person I become, the best, if I become a better leader. Every time you come to look for something or you approach me and all of that, then you will find, something better. But the only way that happens is by growing myself, developing myself. One thing that you mentioned, and I would like to speak to that in a second here, is you mentioned about the ending, both of you and Greg, right? The ending of a job and all that. What I've learned in my journey, to this point, is that always, the ending of something, it is always the beginning of something else, right?
For sure.
The ending of something is always the beginning of something else. And if I had a whiteboard here, which I love, but let me ask you this, just so I can make a point. Did you know, Greg, that even though you're in Italy and you have a neighbor who has a Porsche that he spent like 45 minutes to go in the garage because, the guy, he has a crazy expensive car in the tiniest alley of the neighborhood, right?
True story.
Okay.
I've seen that video.
All right. He climbs off the rooftop, the sunroof of the car or something. I don't know how he makes it out because he can't open the door, right? So he's probably climbing out. Anyways, even though you're in Italy, Melahni's in Indiana, I'm here now for the moment in the Dominican Republic. Your vehicle, the wheels of your vehicle, in order to take you forward, they have to move backwards. Did you know that?
No.
Yes, they do. The wheels of your vehicle, in order to take you forward, they must move backwards. If they don't, you will never move forward. So look, let's assume you're moving in that direction, right? So this is where you're going from here to here, okay? From here to here, right? And you start here, and this is the top, this is the bottom. Look at my hand. You're going forward, you're going backwards. You're going forward, you're going backwards. At the top, you're going forward. At the bottom, you're going backwards. Life is like that. Life is a circle. Some people decide to focus on the top, and for them, life is going forward. Some people decide to focus at the bottom, and for them, life is going backwards. It's all about perspective. It's all about where you're standing, right? You decide where do you going to stand. Are you going to stand at the top and see life move forward, or are you going to stand at the bottom and see life move backwards? Right? The beginning, the end of something is the beginning of something else. Right? I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law, and just to tie this point up. I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law. We were sitting Thanksgiving night last week. My brother-in-law he lives, we live together, and having a conversation with him outside. It's almost midnight, and we're having a conversation, and I tell him, the garage door is open, and I tell him, I literally tell him, like, look back, and he's looking at me, and I said, no, look back, please look back, and he's kind of like funny looking at me, and I'm, no, look back. And he finally looked back, and I said, look at the garage. You see the boxes, you see the car, you see my golf clubs, you see the fridge, you see, whatever you put in the garage, right? Whatever is in there, right? And I told him, you and I can clean this garage right now, empty, totally empty. And I will give you 30 days for the garage to be back to the same exact status. You know why? It's called the law of the empty space. You will never keep a space empty for life. You will fill it up with something. You have stuff in your closet that you never use, but you still have it there just because there is space to have it, right? You have shoes that you haven't worn in 20 years, but you still have them just because you have space to have them, right? You have something, right? It's called the law of the empty space. So when you leave a place, you, by law, you have to go into something else. Otherwise, it's inhumane, right? When you finish something, at some point, you're going to start something else. It is impossible for a human being to finish something and not start something else. Absolutely impossible. Like, you cannot have your mind completely white forever. That's impossible. You gotta die for that to happen, right? Like, otherwise. So when we decide to say, okay, this ended, what's the beginning of? I create something called expectation, right? Expecting, right? And expectation or expecting produces life. When you are expecting, you begin to produce life, right? Think of a pregnant woman, right? Or think of a non-pregnant woman, for example. Melahni, maybe you can school us with this, right? There is a I don't know what the actual terminology is, but let's call it a happening, right? Just for the sake of my lack of English right now. Something happens, the mind of a human being is so strong that a woman can think that she's pregnant when she's not. Is called an ectopic pregnancy. Ectopic pregnancy. She's not pregnant, yet her mind lets her to believe that she is pregnant, and her womb grows, and she feels the symptoms. She got nausea. She feels dizzy, right? She feels, lightheaded, right? And yet, she's not pregnant at all. It's all in her mind, right? With your mind, you can get yourself sick, right? That's how powerful our brain is, right?
Right.
So we decide, right? We decide what we're going to do. We decide, are you going to focus on what ended? What's the past? Or are you going to focus on what I'm expecting? And look, the expectation that you have will produce in you something, right? Now, are you expecting negative or are you expecting positive? That's the only question.
Right.
Right. That's the one and only question. Are you expecting positive or are you expecting negative? Right? Because your expectative, right? Expectation produces life. Right? I don't know how often a tangent I went, but
no, but it's so true. I mean, because it goes down to the basics, right? You have the decision to choose if you're going to have that positive outlook of there is life beyond whatever just happened. And so when Greg talked about that fear earlier, it can paralyze you.
Absolutely.
It can paralyze you physically paralyze you.
Yeah.
He and I
Mhm.
both experienced the stress that your body, the symptoms that you have, just because you have this paralyzing fear of something unknown. I can't control it. I don't know what's next. I don't know what to expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing what to expect can be almost as worse as knowing what to expect.
Correct.
And so, we talk about this so much in just communication, right? Having something that you're afraid to discuss with someone, a leader, a spouse, a friend, a colleague, if you take that conversation and you address it as quickly
Mm-hmm.
as you can and
Sure.
confront the situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we know the expectation will be to do that as fast as you can because it will resolve and you won't again, have these fears of, well, what if this happens and what if that happens and I'm not sure what to expect. So that can
Mm-hmm.
create as much fear as it does as what to expect. It,
Mm-hmm.
it's a great topic because I think our minds play so many tricks on us when
A lot.
when we don't really settle on this is what I'm intentionally going to do with my time, with my beliefs, what I want to create, who I want to be with, how I want to grow. Like that can all just get shuffled and you can end up just paralyzed because
Mhm.
it's
Mm-hmm.
overwhelming. And so, tonight I love you guys because the encouragement of this season is to give thanks, give gratitude, understand our beliefs. It's heading into the holiday season and the next year. So like what are the expectations that we have for us post COVID, right? And how are we going to step into becoming better believers of ourselves, giving ourselves
Mm-hmm.
grace and the freedom to have choices. We all feel trapped and like we're zoomed out and we can't do this and we don't have opportunities and so but that's all just BS, right? Those are limiting beliefs. Those are all
Absolutely.
limiting beliefs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Misael said a great word, and that was perspective.
Yes.
And, you know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing so much stuff on social media right now about how crappy 2020 is. I mean, the memes are endless about
Yes.
how it's horrible, how it just needs to end, how we wish 2021 would just get here. And that all goes back to perspective.
Mm.
Where your focus
Absolutely.
goes, your energy flows. And
100%.
yeah, if you want to choose to sit here and focus on how terrible 2020 has been because of the pandemic, that's a choice you have to make. But the nice thing about choices, you have different perspectives. You don't have to look at that. You can focus on what are some of the good things that came out of 2020 and the pandemic.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
so many things we can list, starting with the environment. It's just
Chapter
been
6.
crazy, some of the stuff that's happened around here
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
of it. But perspective matters.
Especially in your area, in the area, in your area of the world, Greg, where you are right now.
Correct.
Mhm.
They were talking about, just the lack of, jets flying overhead and how the pollution in our air. And this area can be pretty bad from a breathing perspective because the air quality is pretty low. But just the relief from the air traffic has created bluer skies and less smog. There's one thing. That's just one thing. There's a million
Yeah.
others.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
perspective, man.
Perspective matters.
That's awesome. That's
Perspective
awesome. Yeah.
matters.
That's it really is. It really is there. I'm a true believer of that. It's what I do an exercise when I have an audience, usually a public, a live audience.
Mhm.
Usually I have an exercise when I bring a person from the audience and I say, hey, volunteer, and I ask them to stand next to me, looking to the rest of the audience, and I'm standing right next to them, right? And I tell them I'm gonna give you 30 seconds to look around and find all the color, and I pick a color, any color, I don't care. Let's say, for example, find the color red. Just find as much red as you can, right? And I give them 30 seconds. Find all the red. Just focus on red and find all the red that you can. And when the 30 seconds is up and I say, okay, quickly close your eyes, shut it tight. Don't open it until I tell you. And I'm standing right next to them, right? And let's say I'm wearing like a white shirt or something. And I ask the person, give me 5 people that are wearing a white shirt. Most of the time, they get 1, right? Many times, they get none. And then I'm standing right next to them and I say, open your eyes, look at me. What do I have? A white shirt, right? You saw me coming towards me when I called you, and I've been speaking in front of you all day or all night, whatever. And yet, when you decided to focus on red, you did not have the ability, or you lack, the memory of remembering that I was wearing something white, right? And opportunities are like that, Melanie, Greg. Look, when I set my mind, let's say, if you take it to the finances, for example, that is, people love talking about money, even though nobody likes to say so, but in inner self, everybody loves talking about money, right? It's like sex. Everybody wants to talk about it, but no one wants to start the conversation, right? Right? Internally, everybody wants to talk about it, but you don't want to be the first one to break the ice with the conversation. Once it's going, then you can roll through with it, right? So if you take this example into the finances with people and you say, look, when you set your mind, let's say to $100, so to speak, right? Just to keep it simple. And all you can see, all you are looking for is for $100 opportunity. It comes a time when you're standing right next to $1,000 opportunity, but you do not see it because all you are looking for is for $100 opportunity, right? And you're standing right next to 1,000, 10,000, 5,000, whatever, X number. But because your focus is so direct, you are so focused on just the 100, you lack the presence of mind to identify a much bigger opportunity, right? That happens in life to all of us all the time, all the time, right? And that goes back to your point of perspective. What are you looking at, right? What are you looking at?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And understanding that we each have a different perspective. Having the understanding of that makes our communication so much easier.
Yes.
That's
Right?
exactly right.
Yeah.
Key.
Have you seen the example of the beach ball?
Yes.
I love that.
Yes.
Perfect.
Love it. Yeah.
And the thing is, for people that are listening tonight, I think we're all kind of searching for stuff, right? We're all watching these leadership seminars and these summits and like, how do we connect to growth, and what's going to be the catalyst that gets us to the next level? And I think you're right. When we talk about perspective, what is that? What's dying inside of us that we say, how can I just activate that again? How can I just get excited about something again? Because what I'm finding is people are still like, they're just so strung out right now. And they've kind of hit this wall for a second time. Maybe they're kind of thinking, I'll go on a little vacation for the holidays, but yet we're quarantined and I'm not able. I don't have the freedom to make those decisions. And so I just felt it was on my heart to do this tonight, to really talk about our growth and how important it is for people to really just step into something different.
Absolutely.
Right? Stepping in, giving yourself, I keep saying this, but giving yourself permission, the things that are right in front of you, that you could touch, because you've done them in the past, but you just need to think about doing them differently and showing up 1% every day with a new attitude about this and creating a consistent pattern for it. And it absolutely can change the way that you see things. It can change your opportunities, just like you said, right? You have to see the possibilities so that you can step into those and you can earn the opportunity to do that. And so I'm so encouraged because you two, I really respect both of you and on your journeys and things and the people that you inspire to take action every day. Every day you're asking people to take action. And so Misael, I brought this on before you came on, but this is the book, man. This is every day. I use it. I use it for the Bible study. I teach
mine.
Hold on. Now you're gonna get the secret.
Mine is all taped up. Mine is like looking. Mine like chapter 15 is next to chapter 1 and 3 is after 14. Mine is like all over the place now. I think the introduction is right next to the index in the back. This one is all taped up.
This is like this is the best book I've ever for intentional personal growth and saying how simply it's written to be able to say this is what you do, just do these things and
absolutely.
So, when Greg says environment, I'm like chapter 6.
For sure.
You can see it, but it's like that red shirt. That red and white shirt. You can have a photographic memory for all the things that are in this book to teach you how to do the things to apply the lessons. And that's it's perspective is one thing, but application is that next step. And you always say, take action. Take action.
Yeah. You got to. You're talking about. You mentioned earlier the law of the mirror. If you go to the law of the mirror, there is a quote right under the subtitle of that by I think it's either Kevin or Devin, I don't know, but last name is Whitley, I believe. Last name Whitley. It says that you have to adopt or embrace the belief that you are worth the effort, the time, and the energy, right? You're talking about giving yourself permission to grow, right? To become better. You have to embrace the belief. That a phrase, I see Greg looking it up. Maybe he can read it verbatim.
Yeah,
verbatim. Go ahead.
Dennis Whaley, he said, personal development is the belief that you are worth the effort, time, and energy needed to develop yourself.
Yeah. Giving yourself permission. What Melanie just mentioned. If you don't give yourself that opportunity, dead on the water, but the world open itself up completely if you adopt that belief. You embrace that belief, everything's possible.
Everything changes. Everything changes.
I'm sitting here drowning in John Maxwell books.
Looks like my Christmas.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But it's so true because, and it's funny now that we're, we can say we're junkies. We're John Maxwell junkies because we have all these books and we say, I feel like Spaceballs the movie. I've got the cup, I've got the hat, I've got the jacket. I get the DNA. But it's because of the beliefs, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You like Spaceballs too, right? But here's the thing, right? When you start on this journey and you say, this is what fills your heart every single second. And so you are trying to add value to your life so that you can show up the way that we're supposed to be designed, right? And if people of faith, we say God has already planned this out for us. And we're not supposed to just sit here and look for this billboard. We're supposed to try things. We're supposed to be curious. We're supposed to do those things to pull people into our lives that, we may have never met before until right now or tomorrow. And so we have to be open to that. And so through the holidays and I, just on my heart, right? People are saying through 2020, Well, I can't do anything with the last 28 days. It's already passed. 2020's gone. It's been horrible, like Greg said. And I just want to challenge people. There are 15 chapters in this book.
Mhm.
So if you get on Amazon right now and you order this, and it comes tomorrow,
$7.49 for a paperback.
right? Exactly. Go get it from Half Price Books. I don't care. Get this
Yeah.
my challenge, my leadership challenge for you. I have one every day in our Bible study. This is the challenge. Get this book if you've never read it. And
For sure.
read this before the end of the year and
Yeah.
reflect on one application that you're going to apply to your life for 2021. Just one application. And you will find that, as John says, in 365 days, if you do this every single day, this one application with consistency, that you literally will have to turn around and reintroduce yourself to yourself by that 1 year.
Absolutely.
And that's absolutely what I found.
Absolutely.
And so that's my challenge for everybody that's watching this is
Yeah.
you must commit to one thing. And then, I want you to put it in the chat. If you're watching this on the replay, say, okay, I'm in. I'm doing it.
Yes.
I'm in. I'm going to commit to this. I'm going to get the book. I'm going to read it, and I'm going to do one application for 2021.
2020. Melanie, can I make a comment on the fact that some people are already saying that the year is pretty much over, and thank God and all that. I'll say I've been telling my peeps, my community, I've been telling this. Don't let the foot, don't take your foot off the pedal, right? So the year is not over. You can still do business. You can still sign clients. People still buy, right? It's not over. In fact, the biggest shopping season started just recently with Thanksgiving, right? So now people still spend money and all of that. But here's the way I say it to them. And I say, look, you could be the best starter on the 100-meter dash. But if you die at the 95th mark, you're a nobody, right? You could be, look, the race is not won when you started. The race is won when you finished, right? Mm-hmm. Great leaders show up when it's a minute left. Jordan is remembered because he used to take those big basket, 3 seconds on the clock, jumping above everybody, boom, nice 3-shot or 2-shot, right? LeBron James was criticized for the best few years of his career because, in fact, there was a lot of memes, not anymore, but there was a lot of memes about him saying, hey, LeBron James is a magician. He disappears on the fourth quarter, right? People would say LeBron James tables only have 3 legs because anything with 4, he doesn't like it. People would say LeBron James' wife proposed to him because he doesn't know how to get a ring, right? So there was a lot of, big why, because he would not show up when the game counted. So look, you could, whether you like that one, Greg, right?
I love that. That's hilarious.
There was a lot of crazy things said, right? Look, let me tell you, good or bad. If you had a great 2020, but you don't close well, you wasted your time, right? You wasted your time, because what's going to carry you into the next level that you want is how you finished, right? That's what really is going to propel you. It's how you close. It's not how you started. It's how you look.
They say it in golf all the time. It's not how you drive, it's how you arrive.
It's how you arrive. And John even says, right, it's not, you don't have to be great to start.
You just have to start to be great.
Absolutely.
Misael didn't pay his Wi-Fi bill.
He move too fast through the Dominican in his cabana. He was just saying, at the end, you have to be great. And so I think he's
reconnecting.
There he is.
Boom. There he is.
You left on such a great note, Misael.
What happened? Where did you lost me? You lost me?
Yeah. We lost
Yeah?
you. Yeah, you froze up.
Oh man, I never lost you.
You were on it too, and you were saying, at the end, right? At the end, you have to finish strong. You have to do this. You
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
So look, the race is not won, right? When you get the reward. No, that's when you get recognized. We all know this. We know the phrase, champions don't get, are not made on the field. Champions are made in the gym. We heard that phrase 1,000 times, right? We heard that phrase all the time. Well, here's the thing though. You see, I will know whether you were really prepared or not. I will find out at the end of the race. Because at the beginning of the race, everybody's energetic. Have you been? I never ran a marathon. Confession, the longest I ever ran in my life in one single stretch, 6 miles. Okay, so Greg, when you post your little maps of 12 and whatever miles, and you go into craziness,
go.
You're showing off. You're showing off, my friend. I've never ran a marathon. I've never run a half marathon. The longest in a single stretch, single run that I ever gone is 6 miles, right? I never gone at, I run 2-3 miles a day, but on a single stretch, 6 miles. But anyway, I will know if you were truly ready for the marathon, not at the beginning, not on mile 1. It's on mile 25. It's on mile 26 when you are 100 yards away from the finish line. Can you run those last 100 miles, those last 100 yards? Were you really prepared enough to pull it through and go all the way to the end? So your preparation doesn't show up in the beginning. Your preparation shows up in the end. It's in the end.
Absolutely.
The beginning is crowded. You have, Boston Marathon, you have 1,000 people, running the marathon at the beginning, right? And then when you see the end, you have 2 guys from Kenya, right? Closing, the race, right? These are the people that were really prepared, and of course, many hundreds of people finish it. A lot of people finish it, but you get my point, right? The rest that finish are not the champion. The marathon basically is over, an hour before the other guys go across the finish line, right? Because now we have somebody who ran it in like 2 hours or something like that. There was a record.
Yeah.
Right?
3. Yeah.
Under 3 hours, right?
But conditioning, right? If we don't condition ourselves.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what we've been in 2020. We've been in the process of conditioning our minds to be solitude, to be strong, to understand what this alone time is, to reflect, to really start to design things that we've never been able to do before. And people forget how important that is, because if they've been paralyzed, it's like, okay, take that rest to relax and breathe and connect to the things that you really need to start doing next. And so this whole take action to start something different, even if you've had to learn a new task, even if you didn't know how to use Zoom in March, even if you've had to train your kids at home and teach them online, and you think that's the new thing. Well, that's really not for you, right? This is about personal development. And so that's what I want to challenge you with tonight is stepping into developing yourself for 2021 mentally, not physically, mentally, because that's
and for some people it's physically, Melanie.
It is, but it is. You're right. It has to start with that commitment, right? To say, okay, maybe I've been pushed outside of my comfort zone all year, and I can't do one more thing. You're asking me to do the impossible, and so I just want to encourage people. It's not impossible. And the reward is the end of that marathon. The reward does look like crossing that line and getting that medal around your own neck and saying, look at what you decided and intended and finished.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Greg, you can probably talk about this, and I'll just make a comment. I would love to hear your opinion on that. You know what's funny to me? I never ran a marathon, but I see people, close to the finish line. They seem like they are about to die, right? You say, okay, if this guy takes one more step, we're gonna have to bury that person right there, right? And somehow they put it together and they take the next 5 steps that they need to take and go across the finish line. As soon as they cross the finish line, they are okay. They're fine. Yeah. What's that?
I don't know.
They go get a bagel. They get in the bagel line.
I have no idea. I haven't run a marathon either. I have no idea what that is.
That's mindset. That is just, but really it's those analogies that you say, well, you have been there. We've all been there, whatever that looks like. And so you talk yourself into, I can do this. I know I can get through this. I just got a little bit more. I can give a little bit more effort. I can give that 1% to be better, so I can accomplish it. So whatever, a diet, an exercise, starting a new job, learning a new task, it's all these things that are familiar to us. And we just need to kind of move that needle into saying, okay, now it's time for me. Now it's time for me to get better, to add value to me so that I can show up and do this thing like I've always wanted to. You feel it in your soul, you feel it in your heart. And so it's the time. And I know there's somebody out there that needs to hear this tonight. So
absolutely.
This is,
I do. I'm telling you, I do.
I was taking notes while Misael was talking.
It's going to be on the Lion's Den next.
The Lion's Den. Yeah.
The weekly roar.
Yeah.
And
where are you now? 100, 130, 140?
135.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So excellent.
When I saw you that you counted, I wanted to go back and count it, but I decided not to start counting because I really don't know. All I know is that I started, October 2015 doing a Facebook Live.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
every Monday. Yeah. So I don't know. And I'm sure I missed a couple here and there. We all have the unexpected happen, but I've been very consistent. I migrated a lot to Instagram, but I still have a big presence on Facebook. But still, I'm sorry. You going to bed, Polly? Yeah. Okay.
The night's still young.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right. So and I just say, you know what? I've never counted, so I'm not gonna count. I'm just gonna keep going. So I don't know what I'm at, but congrats. I'm happy for you, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I mean, well, both of you played a role in that. I had you as guests when we were talking about these laws.
Yes, I remember that.
That was some of my favorite episodes.
And that was the beginning because you were starting to create something that you saw. You had a vision for it. And then it became something even different, right? Because you grew from that and you began to get really clear, and the consistency brought the clarity.
Yeah. I think that's a great point that you make is, if you go back and look at episode 10, it's horrible. It's the worst. It's embarrassing. But you look at, today's episode and
it's horrible. Sorry, I had to do that.
When we're talking about perspective And when you can
Yeah.
stop and just evaluate the experience and see, you can see your growth. I can see the changes. You can't see it when you're doing it week after week with the consistency unless you stop and go
Mhm.
take a look at where you've been and where you're going. And then that's when you can really see, your growth. Yeah, man, I look at my stuff today and back then 2.5 years ago, and I'm like, oof, that's a lot of growth.
Yeah.
But you couldn't see
Yeah.
where you were going. You couldn't see what you wanted to create until you got to a certain level. And,
Yeah.
and that's the thing, right? You say, okay, I want to do this and be curious about it. And so the encouraging part is you view and then you do it, right? You do what you view. So you
Mhm,
constantly are looking for, okay, I like this and now I'm comfortable. But,
mhm.
as leaders and growth minded, you go, but what now can I add to be a little bit even more?
Yeah, that's
Mhm.
the key is having the mindset of always asking yourself, "What's next?" What's
Correct.
not getting comfortable. Like, don't stay in a comfort zone. If you've been doing something consistently for a while, you get good at it, and it's comfortable, and it's easy, and the worst thing you can do is stay there and
Mhm.
keep doing the
Mhm.
same thing. You have to
Mhm.
ask yourself, "What's next?" And then start moving into that direction, and when you get
Mhm.
there, "What's next?" And what's coming up after that, and think
Mhm.
1 or 2 steps ahead already and
Mhm.
get in that direction. It's so important not to get stagnated in your comfort zone and
Mhm.
stay there.
Mhm.
You have to
Mhm.
keep asking what's next.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's fantastic, Greg, because again, expectation, right? So what's next,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
What is next, And you say I go back and I listen to chapter 10 or whatever chapter in the past,
Mhm.
2.5 years ago. Um, you you lacked what you have back then. Back then, you lacked the growth that you have today,
Correct.
right? You are
Mhm.
scarce of something that
Mhm.
now today you own, you have, it's yours, or something that you are,
Mhm.
right? So I say this, Greg. I say that those who believe move forward in scarcity.
Mm.
Those who don't get stuck in abundance.
Mm.
Yes. Mm.
Okay. So
Yeah.
again,
Say
those
it
who
again.
believe move forward in the middle of scarcity,
Mm.
right? Whatever you're missing, whatever you're lacking, doesn't matter. I believe I move forward,
Correct.
right? Those who don't have it all, technically speaking, money wise,
Mhm.
family, they did not move to a different continent, right? They did not have to go to IKEA and start all over again, right? Learn a new language, right? They did not have to start all of that. They have it all, and yet they get stuck.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Why? Because they do not believe, right? Right. So what what you are today, or what you own, what you have today, right? It was something you lacked 2.5 years ago.
Mhm.
Yet, in the middle of that, whatever that was, scarcity, that growth, you decided to move forward,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Because before you arrive to something that is comfortable, you must walk through the uncomfortable,
Correct.
right?
Mhm.
Right. Yeah.
Sure.
If you want to arrive to the comfortable, you must go through the uncomfortable. And
Correct.
those who fear walking in the uncomfortable make the uncomfortable the residence.
Right.
Okay. And they become so familiar with the uncomfortable that they criticize, right? Or reject the comfortable.
Mhm.
And the comfortable here is just a metaphor, right? It's
Mhm.
metaphorically speaking. because you can change that word into goals, growth,
Yep.
achievements, money, whatever it is, right? Like whatever you want, right?
Mhm.
So, it's phenomenal that you are where you are, but the question is, how much have you walked,
Yeah.
to get where you are? How much have you done?
Yeah.
It's important, very
The
important.
mind-blowing thing of it is, in 2.5 years from now, when I look back at where I am here,
Yes.
I'll be like, "Oh, that's embarrassing."
Yes. Like, what was I talking about?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Well,
What
and that's the thing, right? Without reflection, you won't even be able to understand that. You would just say, "Well, I'm just here. I am volunteering at the USO and adding value," but it's bigger than that because there's something in your heart that's stretching to say, "I got to
Mhm.
show up." It's my accountability to myself and those who believe in me as
Mhm.
well.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
that's the thing. When you start to develop this tribe, right? We keep each other accountable. We're also inspiring each other, saying, "Hey, that's a great idea. Let's collaborate."
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I want to talk real quick because I know we've been on here forever, but I love you guys. It's 2:20 in Italy now.
It is.
Greg gotta go to sleep before his wife comes.
But I want
Comes.
to ask you guys this because it's really important. People that are doing what we're doing,
Mhm.
and there are a lot of people in the world that are saying, "Okay, I'm doing podcasting, I'm doing coaching, I'm doing leadership training, I'm doing virtual summits." Uh, your opinion about collaboration versus competition?
Ooh. Mm. Misael,
Go
do you
ahead,
wanna
Greg.
kick that off?
No, you go. You go ahead. You go ahead.
This is the exact definition of having an abundance mindset,
Yes.
right? Collaborators have an abundance mindset,
Mhm.
and you'll see, like, anybody that asks me to help them, I help them. I don't care because my belief is that there's plenty to go around. I'm not in competition with you. Like,
Mhm.
there's not only one coaching client out there in the world, and it's a race for the 3 of us to get to that person, right?
Mhm.
Believe me, there's plenty more. If you just repeat to yourself, there's plenty more where that came from.
Mhm.
You can develop this abundance mindset, but when you don't come from that, you don't collaborate. You don't. You are in competition and you're out to get yours, and it's really a sad place to be because it doesn't have to be that way. Now, there's probably some salespeople out there probably listening to this being like, "That's ridiculous. It's a dog eat dog world." But I'm telling you, I don't care what industry you're in, what you sell for a living, there's plenty of customers to go around. What I'd ask you is, are you hungry enough to go find them?
Mm.
So that's I love this one because it's definitely, we're talking about the difference, in mindset,
Mhm. Yeah.
abundance and scarcity.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I wholeheartedly agree with Greg, Melanie. You see, it's talking about what you're looking at, what you think, what's your perspective, right? What's your focus, and how do you feel, and what's your belief about yourself,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Collaborators, competition, right? So, look, if you, this is not my quote, and if I believe, if I accredit it to the right person, I believe it was a Chinese thinker. That's it. His name is Lao Tzu, I believe, was who said this. That let your action not be a reaction. Instead, let it be a creation.
Mhm.
Okay, I just want you to think about that. Let your action not be a reaction. Instead, let it be a creation. When I read that for the first time, I stopped and I studied it for like a week. right? And if you think about it, when you act to react, first of all, if you think about the word react, you are recreating or you are reacting something that happened. You said reaction. Is it means that it's a repetition. Something happened already, and you're acting something that already happened. So you are reacting to the past, right? You're looking backwards, right? It's a reaction, right? You're taking action, but you're taking action towards the past. If you let it be a creation, right? If you let it be a creation, then you're doing something that is yet to be done, right? Something that maybe in the tangible plane, right? In the physical realm, is yet to be existent, is yet to exist, correct? So when I'm asked about to give an opinion to this collaborating competition, look, I'm with Greg. First of all, I'm not competing with anybody because look, first of all, I cannot compete with Greg. You know, never. I don't have his voice, I don't have his hair, and I don't have his beard, right? So the people that are looking for him, they will never connect with me, right? Now let's flip the coin. Let's flip the coin, right? People that are looking for curly hair, funny accent, you know, and a crazy story, likely will not connect with Greg. So I much rather help. Look, leaders, and I like to use a lot of weird metaphors, okay? So leaders are like trees, right? Like a plant. Our nature is to bear fruits. That's our nature, right? Greg, you're in Italy. You never seen or never heard of grape trees, right? Like vineyards, not bearing their grapes because the year before, the person who takes the grapes did not collect them. You know, never heard, oh, the trees dry out because all of the grapes just were lost. Nobody picked them up. That never happens.
Nope.
Year after year, they produce. So a leader is like that. A leader produces. A leader produces. And when you're a real leader, you get involved in production, regardless of whether it's yours or someone else's. As long as you are producing, it doesn't matter because you are involved in the process of creation, right? You're creating something, you're producing something. Hey, I'd rather be in the process of creating something for Greg because I am creating, right? I'm doing something with him than be against that, right? And block or limit, right? Limit my potential, my ability, and all of that, and downplay it. So, 100% agree with Greg. You know, it's I don't see my opinion finally about, you know, people that are doing what we do and they have collaboration, competition sort of mindset, whatever, is that they are yet to understand the main reason why we do what we do. You don't understand it. If you're competing, you don't know the real reason behind it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well said.
Amen.
Yeah. You don't understand. You don't understand it. You really don't. Yeah.
And that's for anything, right? And so that's about your gift. That's about your potential. And that's about finding what inspires you to do what you do. Because when you discover that, there is a whole world out there that starts to attract you. It's the law of attraction. And you start to fill your cup in different ways. And so, you know, when you don't have that insight yet, you haven't really seen that in your life yet. Once you discover that, things are different. You have different resources. you have different opportunities, and then things continue to build on, you may have to remove people from your life. There may be toxic people that are essential to you now, but you may have to remove them from your life. And you may add people that have significant influence. And we talk about leadership as influence, and they have influence to help you learn those things that you'll be able to learn to get you to the next level. And so collaboration is so, so critical, I believe, and listening to you both as well. The people that I have been collaborating with through COVID-19 have been incredible to teach me things that I didn't know that I needed to know. Right? I didn't know that I needed to know it, but when I learned it, I thought, how did I not know that? And that's from collaboration, right? That's from
There you
collaboration. Misael, it started with lunch on the first day of the John Maxwell certification, having lunch, sitting down with you and saying, can we sit here? And we ask you certain questions. And we said, okay, what's your journey? How did you start? What would you recommend that we do? And you said, okay, read this book and apply everything. And you can teach and understand everything about life from that book. And it was true, right? And so I took that to heart because I thought, I see that passion from within your soul. And not that I said, I'm going to be Misael. I said, Misael believes that this material has changed him to see things differently. And that's what inspired me. And that's why we've done so many projects together, because I really absolutely know that when you own this journey, it can really just completely take you to another level in your opportunities in your life. And so, I mean, look, here we are in 3 different areas in the world.
Absolutely.
And because,
very different.
Right. And that one influence has kept us all bonded together.
Absolutely. Yes. One influence, one belief, one expectation, one desire, one common goal, you name it, that's really important. It's extremely important when it comes to, achieving or getting the best out of yourself. It goes back to what Greg said. He said, doing it alone, right? I don't know the exact phrase, but if you're doing it alone, is basically not worth doing.
Right.
So that the fact that we've remained in contact and we've been, connecting, doing what we're doing, interacting, speaking, sharing, growing together. And we can look back and say, oh yeah, we were there at one point, we were doing this, and now here again and continuing. It's extremely important. It's very, very, I hope, my hope, Melanie, is that, the people that are listening to us really take you on the challenge. At the beginning, I'll tell you, to you that are listening to me, this may sound corny or spooky or whatever name you wanna put to it, whatever it is. I'm just gonna tell you this with all the respect and from the bottom of my heart. I've been shoeless and hungry, and I had shoes and warm and shelter. Shoeless and hungry without believing this about me. And then I had a different life believing this about me. I like the life that believes this better. Okay? I like the life that believes this better. So that's just my simple advice. I like to believe that there is something better for you and for me out there, that you can do better, that where you come from doesn't determine where you're going, that your past is not your destiny, that you are much more than your clothes and whatever you have, right? And that you are everything that you're not, and you are everything that you want to be, right? That's what I would tell, anyone listening to me right now. So I would start here.
Right there. That's right. Man, Greg,
Yeah.
what would you like to say before we sign off this evening? You've added so much value to my life and Misael's, and this
Thank you.
is such a special night. And I really
This
love
is
you
awesome.
guys. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you.
Misael was so eloquent in what he was saying right there to urge people to do this. And, I'd piggyback on what he said and tell you that don't let fear paralyze you. Don't be afraid to change. Nobody likes change. Nobody. I don't like change. But I've learned to accept change. And
Yeah.
when you're faced with something that, Misael was saying, whatever you call it, whatever you label it, when we label things, we do that out of fear of the unknown. We don't know what it is, so we label it. And so if you think getting intentional about your personal growth and changing your life is kooky or way out there, la la.
Yeah, whatever.
You have to ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Why am I afraid of changing for the better? All three of us, and there's hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands more people that can tell you that by simply not only reading, but applying and rereading and reapplying the laws in this book, it's a game changer. We can all attest to it. So I also encourage all of you to take Mel up on her challenge for you in the new year as well.
Absolutely.
Yep. I believe it and I live it and I love it. And I have experienced so much growth, especially because of these two guys that are right here. And so I appreciate you both so much. And, this Everyday Leaders platform has been really developed to help people in their journey to overcome obstacles. And what I'm learning is people teach me things every day about how to show up. And so I want to encourage you, if you really feel that something is on your heart and you want to step in and change your world, start by personal growth. Start investing in yourself. And you will be surprised at every action that you make, every decision that you make. You will start to realize that you have that confidence and remain consistent in your beliefs. And
you said something really important there, Melanie, and that was, and I just saw Misael move, and I was like, "Is he leaving?"
He's sleeping like a lion.
I forgot my thought. Never mind. Move on. Wrap it up.
What was that? Oh, go ahead.
I lost my train of thought.
He's leaping like Greg. He's leaping like Greg. I gotta put Greg back on my microphone.
You are reacting to what something that Melanie said.
Oh boy. It'll come to me. Keep talking.
It's so important because the people that because I was sitting there and I was in this corporate world and I was thinking, why don't I fit in? Why doesn't what I value matter? And always trying to play the game of like, well, if I just do it this way, or if I just show up this way, or if I get this report in, extra early, that I'll get extra points and it'll matter. And it just, none of that matters. What you do matters for your character, because then you start to attract the things that you're supposed to be doing. And so I'm not saying quit your corporate job. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is when you start to invest in yourself, you realize that you don't really need to listen to that noise of other people. And you continue to grow and become the things you were designed for. And then like Greg, you tell your corporate job, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And I might have some physical symptoms, but I know that it's going to be for the best, because when I look back, those things have helped me to grow in such ways that you could have never imagined. Things for your family, the experiences. And don't take those dreams to the cemetery with you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now I remember what I was going to say. Mel, you triggered me to say that everything always starts with us. We can't lead other people until we can lead ourselves. We got to know where we're going before we can bring others along with us. Everything you do always has to start with you first. And this is a great way to do that. It's a great beginning for you. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
Absolutely.
That's right. So if you've been watching this tonight and you really want to find out more, especially from us, just about the John Maxwell team, reach out to me. You can get a hold of me at everydayleaders.com. There's a contact page there. We can teach you more about it, because the journey is unbelievable. And there, I don't know, 70,000 people now or more that when I joined in 2016 in October, there were about 14,000 members.
Yeah. There's 40,000 now.
There's 40,000 now.
40 plus thousand, 167 countries.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Yeah. So it's a time, right? It's a time to be leaders of our lives. And
absolutely.
And so the struggles that we've had, from a political stance, a tumultuous election, to COVID, to things in our families that are just naturally happening, attrition and births and deaths. And so we're not understanding how to identify with that, because so many of us are just lost personally. And so these are the things, these are the tools, these are the strategies we've been describing all night that can really help you start to identify what confidence that you can take into your life and condition yourself to be the winner.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, I was reacting to I was reacting to my friends here. So, that's fine.
You're sitting outside of the beach.
I am somewhat. Somewhat I am.
Oh my goodness.
I am literally like, if I were to stop talking, I'm sure you could hear the wave, crashing onto the rocks. So I am like literally, you could throw, if you have a good arm, like we have a really good arm, you could probably throw a baseball into the water from where I am.
Wow.
I don't think I can, but probably somebody with a good arm can do it. So no, I was so the reason I was reacting and all of that is because I've been here many times. This is not my first time. I've been coming here for 12, 13 years, and the people who own this house, they're my mentors. They're like I call them my gifted parents, right? And we are different in age. They're 80, 83, and very good friends. I used to caddy for them, so that's a whole nother story, right? So I'm the guy who used to carry their golf bags and pick up their golf balls and all of that. And now, I'm here staying at their house. Basically, they retired to bed, and I have the house for myself. This is literally, it's a really nice house. So they were going to bed because we had dinner. And that's why I walked in with a glass of wine, because we were literally changing from dinner to here. That's my only one, by the way. There was none before, probably none after. Okay.
No judgment here. I live in Italy.
I know you do. I see.
I'm wondering where the bottle is.
Yeah. So no, that's why I was reacting like that, because they were sitting there and then they retired and went to bed. They usually go to bed around this time. So no issues. That, by the way, to add to that point, there is a curfew in the Dominican Republic. So due to the pandemic, there is a curfew, and you're not allowed on the street after 9 p.m. So there is nothing, like I can't, it's already 9:49 here. So you can't go out. Like if you go out, you get arrested, literally. like seriously. So really, I'm not going anywhere, no rush, nothing. So my reaction was just telling good night to them.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Misael, thank you for taking time out of your
Awesome.
personal trip. And Greg, thanks for staying up and being quiet for Sam. Tell her she can watch this tomorrow and go,
Yes.
how late were you up?
She still expects me to go up and go volunteer at the USO in the morning.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, we'll be thinking about you while we're sleeping.
True.
Oh my goodness.
True.
I thank you guys so much for your time this evening, and
Pleasure.
just always adding value to show up, to collaborate. And it's just so important. And, for anyone that is watching, even the replay, if you have this on your heart, take this challenge, because it is so important. At the end of the year, you've got 28 days. Order the book tonight. Get on Amazon, just order it. Get the Kindle version. You can read it now, right? Even if you order it, you'll be able to start reading it. Read these. There's 15 laws, so there's 15 chapters, and then decide to do one application in 2021. Do it every day, but do one application every single day in 2021. And I want you to come to this thread and tell us what you're going to do. Be accountable to it.
Wow.
Tell us what you're going to do. Wherever you're watching this, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, take the challenge with us, because we're here to help and mentor and guide and encourage and be your cheerleaders. Because on the other side of fear is amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Everything you want in life is right on the other side of fear.
Yeah. I just like that. I don't know if this makes sense in English. I'm gonna try this. I say something in Spanish, right? I hope I don't offend anybody, or I don't recommend Viagra to a 64-year-old lady, right? Right. I'm sure you both know that story, right? So, but there is a saying, there's something I say in Spanish that I'm gonna try to convey in English, and I say something to the effect of: success leaves behind failure entering through an alley called fear, right? So success leaves behind failure, and before you get there, you gotta walk through an alley, and the name of the alley is fear, right? So, or you could say that failure is the secretary of success, and if you want to speak with failure, the appointment it's with. If you want to speak with success, the appointment is made with failure. Yep. Right. Yep. So the call is the call is picked up. Yeah. The call is picked up by failure. And then failure will book your appointment, and based on how you handle failure, failure will decide if you will see success or not.
Hello, okay. Failure. I'd like an appointment with success, please.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Misael, I'm proud of you, man. I love watching what you're doing, all your growth.
Thank you.
My only regret is I wish I understood
you don't speak Spanish.
Your Spanish podcasts. Yeah. Like, what's he saying?
Even if you watch in the transcript, you're like, I can't read it.
No.
But that's okay. Keep doing it.
I know. The thing is, and you both were actually really very much part of my decision. So prior to 2018, I was pure bilingual on everything I did. And I realized, I wouldn't ask you the question, Greg or Melanie, because you don't follow much, but I've done this. And I've gone to people who are deep into the personal development industry, people who are actually, John Maxwell junkies like you and I are, right? And all of that. And I approach people and I ask them, tell me the equivalent of John Maxwell in the Spanish speaking community. Silent. Doesn't exist. I say, okay, tell me the equivalent of Tony Robbins in the Spanish speaking community. Doesn't exist. Right? Tell me the equivalent of Les Brown in the Spanish speaking community. Doesn't exist. You can name it. Like you can go through all the big names and there is not one reference. So am I comparing myself with John Maxwell? Well, that's not a bad thing, but I don't think I will be ever John Maxwell. I could be better, but him, I will never be him because he already exists. I can be better or can get close, but I will never be him. So 2 years ago, I decided, I'm just gonna go hard. I'm gonna focus on the Spanish speaking community, and I will become the reference for the Spanish speaking community. So a lot of people, Greg, you, Melanie, Diane, there is another, he does a Friday with Friends or Friendly Fridays. What's his name?
Eric.
Eric, right?
Mm-hmm.
There is a ton of people adding value, right? But my people,
Eric.
my Spanish speaking people, they lack a Melanie, they lack a Greg, they lack an Eric. So, while you guys fresh up on your Spanish, right? I will be laying up the path, for whenever you decide to join. So that's why I decided, the English community has a lot of people. The Spanish community doesn't have as much, and you both know, producing what we produce is work, takes work. Like it's not just sit there and go, it really takes work, to do it at a good level. Right. So I don't have the team around me yet to give me what I do simultaneously, English and Spanish. I don't have it yet. I will have it. I'm working for that, and I will have it. But in the meantime, that's the reason I do it all, pretty much all in Spanish. And really, I took off. Like I really took off, like it to this level. Like I exploded to what I am now, is because I focused in one thing. Before I was English, Spanish, and I never developed a full community because one day I was English, the other day was Spanish, one day I was Spanish, and then next day was English, and people never identify. They could never stick, right? They could never stay around because there was no consistency of one language, right? And the moment I was consistent in one language, a ton of people showed up, So, but eventually, I'm working so that I can get, fully running operations, English and Spanish. That's going to happen for sure. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'll still hop on your lives and you'll still
Beautiful.
say,
Love
hello,
it.
Melanie. What I'm saying
you will.
Yeah, I like to acknowledge you because I appreciate the support. I love to acknowledge you.
I always say, Joe, he's going to take a breath here and say, okay, Melanie, what we're talking about is. Oh, it's so great.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Funny.
Amazing.
Greg's like, I have a time limit on my Wi-Fi. Oh, you guys, thank you so much. I am going to let you sign off and have your evening. And Greg, you can go to bed. But I thank you just for sharing your hearts tonight and, continue to just add value to everything. Oh, you're going to sleep on your lion pillow. Oh my goodness.
Greg,
right.
you can brush your teeth and go to work.
Oh, he's freezing here.
Yeah.
All right.
Made as well.
Yes. Yes. So, okay, one last
Okay.
sentence, one last challenge from each of you before we say goodnight.
What's the challenge?
One last challenge for our audience.
Oh, you go ahead, Greg.
I'm going to challenge you. If you're listening, watching this, even if it's on the replay, I'm going to challenge you to get out of your comfort zone and embrace being uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Awesome.
And I know it's been a struggle during the pandemic, and that's why it's never done this before. That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
This is what it feels like, you guys. So if you're struggling with it, that's a key indication that you're not comfortable being uncomfortable. So embrace that, tap into it, and over the next year, practice getting out
For
of your
sure.
comfort zone and start doing things that make you a little uncomfortable.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you get the momentum.
Hey, and with that, that comfortable being uncomfortable does not come or does not happen if you don't take action. So my challenge is to take action for 3 very quick reasons. Number 1, action activates your information. Okay, so all the information that you've gotten, it could only be activated if you act. Okay, so action activates information. Action create habits, and habits create results. Okay, action creates habits, and habits create results. And number 3, action helps you eliminate and helps you select. All right, you will never know which tool from your toolbox you need if you don't know which job you're going to do, right? For example, if you're going to climb Mount Everest, I guarantee you don't need Miss Universe in your team. Trust me, right? You don't need Miss Universe in your team if you're going to climb Mount Everest. If you're going to put together a beauty pageant, please go ahead and get Miss Universe, right? But unless you take action, you don't know which one to eliminate and which one select, right? So action activates information, action create habits, and habits create results, and action helps you select and eliminate. Take action.
Take action. All right. And my one thing is
Beautiful.
find the people
Man.
to create your inner circle. Find the people that you need to be in your inner circle to help you with your growth. And you'll be able to accomplish all of these things. All of these
For
things.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Peace.
Everyday leaders change the world. Let's do it. We're all in different places.
Love you, Mel.
We are consistent, man. Thank you so much. Have a great holiday season. Be safe traveling wherever you're going. Get back to the States, Misael.
Yes.
Tell Sam we said thank you for letting you whisper while she's sleeping. and have a great Christmas.
Thank you. You too, Melanie.
Right.
Appreciate you. Greg, great to see you, my brother. Please go get some rest.
Good night, guys.
You too, brother.
Ciao.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great night.